Hi, and welcome back to Questions from Quarantine. We hope you had a good restful break. As you know, school is starting again, and we at Questions from Quarantine wanted to do something a little different this time. Not only are Dr. Margaret Bourdeaux and Professor Juliette Kayyem experts, but they are also parents of multiple children and dealing with the same issues as every other parent in America right now. So we're going to film two separate sessions, one where each mom puts on her expert hat and the other takes it off, and vice versa, to give you a sense of perspective on how this is going for everyone. So first I'd like to throw to Dr. Margaret Bourdeaux for her perspective on school reopenings, and then we'll throw to Juliette Kayyem for her perspective as a mom of three on schools reopening. Margaret?
Hi, yeah. So schools reopening is definitely looming large in my household. I've got one child who's starting high school, etc. But I think the thing from a sort of professional perspective that is becoming quite clear is, okay, what a risky proposition this is with respect to controlling the epidemic. And I think that we are seeing basically we have one tool, one public health tool, essentially, that we've been able to implement effectively that controls COVID, and that's basically like social distancing. And so, now this kind of moment comes where we're all going to reopen, and we don't have the other tools universally in place. And those other tools are things like having buildings that are safe and are retrofitted, that have good ventilation and air filtration, schedules that are, amenable to decreasing transmission, universal mask wearing, although there has been some really nice progress on that, and contact tracing is built out to very different levels of capability, markedly different levels of capability across the country. So, the lowest common denominator is that kind of social distancing, and now we're going to not be able to use that tool by the nature of schools. So yeah, I mean, I think we're walking into a very, very chaotic time where we are going to lose control of the control that we have of the epidemic in some places.
Yeah, and as everyone knows from previous recordings, Margaret is the mother of four girls. I am the mother of three older kids. And the schools issue is just, it's so infuriating. We ran out of time. We just, we did not take the pandemic seriously, and each week that we didn't take it seriously and the infection rates went up and the illnesses and the sickness went up meant that you had community spread, which meant that you were putting at risk the very communities that our kids were going to school in. So that's the basic planning around it. It's just, we ran out of runway and we did not take this seriously. So as a mother, I'm pissed, obviously. And I'm, before we started taping, I'm back from 6 weeks away. I have every, my complaints are ones of convenience, not need. So I just want to be clear here. Like, when I complain, I realize, I have no reason to complain given the problems out there. But it's a lot. And it's a lot because it's so monotonous. Like, we were saying right before this, is it monotonous or insane? It's like both, right? It is this idea of the fall unfolding. My boys who are in high school are home. The high school has a really good plan. So they're going to have triggering assessments in October, late October, November, to see if we can get kids in. It is a lot. And part of it is me and not, and managing boys that aren't the most scholarly as I'd want them to be, and a daughter who's taking leave from college, who's also home. So all of a sudden you just have these dynamics in the house that you had thought you had either outgrown or actually have never existed before, because they don't have any structure to they have structure to their days. They don't have structure to their future. And that's, I think, the challenge. And I sometimes wonder, like, sometimes I'll just stop and like ask one of my boys who aren't the most communicative, like, how are you? And the other day, like, one of my sons said, "This is weird." And I just thought, that's a lot coming from him in terms of emotion. But you realize it's just weird for a generation. And the only thing I can say in terms of advice is, sometimes, I can be in good moods and bad moods. I try to keep the bad moods to myself and the good moods more publicly. But, I do sort of feel like I'm the rallier of the family, that's just like, we're going to get through this. What I try to do publicly, like, but I do tell the kids that history has found them. And I think it's our job, or at least my job, and one of the reasons why I'm so busy and probably more negligent than I really want to be is, we're just trying to help them outpace history again. And that's all I can say. That's just basically it.
Well, we are definitely living in historic times. We are thinking of you, Juliette, and our next episode will include Margaret's thoughts.
Sane or monotonous? That's going to be the dilemma of 2020.
It can be both. Thank you so much for watching. You can hashtag questions from quarantine for your chance to be answered next week. Thank you.